Like, you used to be the general manager, I think, of BMW Beverly Hills, which seems like the kind of place, and let me just make assumptions freely in this conversation, but I'd assume that the expectation is really high.
If you want to get really good, just go to Beverly Hills and work for a while, and you'll see it just really will sharpen your skill.
Can you maybe share with me why you believe social media participation is so important for dealership?
If you're not part of the conversation, your competitor or a troll or an angry customer will be. And I think a lot of the general public of dealer personnel kind of look at social as a broadcast channel when you're broadcasting, so you don't have to worry about the rest of it. There's a whole separate part that's kind of a term called, one of the many, but a community management. But when you do social media part of it, and online reputation, you have to monitor it. The dealers are really good these days at monitoring their online reputation, but that sometimes falls down too, depending on if you have a vendor doing it and how they're replying to it. And it's an exchange of ideas between people, social and the online rating sites. So you have to be there and participate and at least monitor it, so that things don't get out of hand. You may know I'm on the board of a horse rescue, so I manage all of the online fundraising and the social and all that stuff. So with a horse rescue, you get a lot of people engaging, a lot of people talking, but sometimes there are, like just the other day, there's some dude, I don't even know if it's a bot, but they went in and were bothering our people that were commenting and saying, "Oh, I really like you. Let's be friends." I'm like, get this guy out of here. So I've had a long time, how long? 14 years maybe of this community management stuff. But what I've learned from that, and just from viewing and working with dealers, is that there's certain circumstances where you just don't need to do anything. If somebody comments something negative, and it's not a bot and it's not a troll, and it's not, like, if it's valid, or if it's not valid, some other people will chime in your defense when you're doing the right things. Like, they'll just come, and you don't have to do a thing. And I think the natural reaction is to delete comments like that. And I think you could just sit back and let it go. But like I say, it's one of many approaches, one of many tactics, but that's definitely one of them, to just don't do anything and let the community take care of you.
I think if you're in a position as a dealer where the community is stepping in and taking care of you, I think that's all the validation that you really need. I think that is like the ultimate 5-star review. It's part of it. It's part of the conversation. You like you say, it's not just a messaging board for you to scream out your specials at the end of the day. People are going to interact. And that's also what you want. The more interaction you get, the better for your brand in any case. And the further the algorithm, the dreaded algorithm that we speak about, I see your expression changing, the algorithm will also continue to put your message out there. One thing that I also saw was the deleting comments area. So really just don't delete the comment unless you absolutely have to. And my opinion would almost be then, I think it's point 1, where it's establishing guidelines or policies. So you would delete a comment that is overtly racist or sexist or something that's right, not something that is offensive to you as the dealer, but maybe offensive to the general populace. Maybe I'm just positive Penelope, but I almost see a negative comment as an opportunity for you to step up, which I know is one of your other points. It's all coming back to me now. That's how well you write. It all links. Look at me doing it backwards, because it's basically an opportunity for you to own your space. And if you made a mistake, to apologize and to do it publicly. And it's something that costs you nothing, but could actually really drive your brand further. The example coming to mind is from this PR Ladies shorts now, where I think they disproved, the public found out that a foot-long sandwich at Subway was not actually a foot long. And then the customers were really angry because it was called a foot long. And what Subway did was they re-evaluated their entire supplier base and they fixed it. And they said sorry. And that was it. It was over, and people moved on. So I think there's an opportunity, and now I'm talking about Subway sandwiches. I don't even like Subway sandwiches, and now Subway is getting airtime in our conversation that's about automotive, you see? And so
Well, it
there's a
worked.
very This I want to unpack with you a little bit. The clear internal policy for online engagement. I remember when social media started, and I remember how nervous and anxious some business owners were about their employees participating in the brand messaging. And I think there are a lot of people that still feel that way. I think it's a normal way to feel. Often the brand is your baby, and you work so hard and you've gone through everything to be where you are now. And I can understand that allowing somebody who's maybe 23 years old, who's just walked in the door, just sat down, and they think that they can solve your problems. How do you go about setting up a policy that can protect your business? Because I know that you're also very much in favor of that.
Yes, I'm very much in favor, because I've been in managed dealerships my entire life, and the liabilities that can come from it are huge. So I completely understand. And I used to, because we're talking about 14, 15 years here, that's another generation. So you've got even more that are very comfortable in the digital space. So if you're not, I used to talk to the 20 groups, and they'd be like, well, we just don't allow social media at work. And I'm like, well, they have their phones. So you're not going to really, they're still going to use it. And I'm a big proponent of social selling, which is basically just using social media to generate your own leads. If there are a lot of people that are very adept at it, and why not do that? Why not? But in order to do that well, have a policy, a written policy that most every dealership. I'm from California, so we have extra litigious situations here, and so because of that, we have an employee handbook that we use that's worked in tandem with attorneys. And so you can just put the social media policy in that, and have them sign it like you sign the handbook, and just as a receipt. And it needs to talk about what social media is, because there's ways to define it. A lot of people don't know what it is. I mean, certain people think about Facebook, sure, but there's other situations. So what it is, and then what to do when there's a crisis, how to escalate it to your boss, what not to do. The main thing what not to do is to talk about payment plan, car payment, any kind of financing. Do not talk about that at all, unless it's an actual special that the dealership or the manufacturer supported ad is. That's fine, but don't talk about credit. Don't talk about, there's a lot of things that you can kind of get in trouble if you talk about too much.
I see it in threads often, like Marmite. I don't know if you know what Marmite is, but South Africans and people in the UK like Marmites. It's a thing. And I think in Australia or in the US, it's called Vegemite. But anyway, it's like a vegetarian sandwich spread, and it tastes like nutritional yeast. It's got like an umami. I love it. I really love it.
You love it?
I miss it. You don't get it where I live anymore, but I miss it. And so Marmite on Threads is like really out there. Like whoever's running the account really says some crazy stuff. And you see it as well with the bird, Duolingo, crazy stuff is said. But I almost guarantee you that these, as creative and as successful, hugely successful, these types of social media personalities behind the business are, that there is extreme brand clarity. This is not somebody who's waking up in the morning, who is the social media manager for Marmite or for Duolingo, going, I'm feeling a little bit weird today. Let me get on my keyboard. These are people that are embedded in the brand. They know exactly what they're doing. It is absolutely on purpose. And I'd love to see it in other industries. There is an element of courageousness or courage that's happening, but I think that's happening at a strategic level. It's not happening at the operational level. It looks like to the public.
Yes, agree. Yeah. The one thing I will say is humor is not for amateurs, and there's no better place to prove that than on a dealership social media sometimes, or even just a business that tries to be funny and it's just not. And it's just, yeah, you're right. 100%. It is all strategic. You know who does an awesome job is, we always know Wendy's, of course, does an awesome job. Beyond Meat, I'm on Threads more than pretty much anywhere. And the person that runs that that account is just awesome. They do a great job, but they are embedded in the brand. They know what the brand looks like. And for dealerships, for a long time, and I've been talking about this for a long time too, but the brand at a dealership is not the vehicle. It's not the vehicle brand. That brand has a brand at the manufacturer. The brand at the dealership is what the dealership encompasses, what the employees and what it all means, and what your mottos are. And we stole it from the Ritz-Carlton University, but we used to have signs on all of our doors and elsewhere in the store that said, "Ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen." And people always remembered that. And so we had license plate holders that said world famous Beverly Hills BMW. And we all lived it and breathed it. And we knew it took a while to refine to get to our team, but we had a team of 5 managers and then the middle managers. And all of us really understood. All the managers' meetings were open if someone wanted to come, unless it was something sensitive. I would periodically give financial statement analysis trainings, like anybody that wanted to understand how their department on their income statement, because at a dealership, you've got 4 departments. So new and used and service and parts. And it's like somebody from parts wanted to know how their department was doing. I'd have a class for it, and they can like get involved in the brand and understand what impact they have where they are in the machine. And so we were just super progressive that way, but it worked. We were number 1 in sales, number 1 in service, number 1 in parts, number 1 in CSI. So, so yes, getting back to just the brand of it, you need to be able to you're immersed in your brand. You understand it very, very well. It's really probably only one person that can do that can run social media accounts like Beyond Meat and Duolingo and those. But I would love to see that. I think there probably is 1 or 2 dealerships out there doing it. It's just that I can't think of the ones off the top of my head.
One dealership that does do it, but guess what? I can't remember the dealership's name. I can remember the guy, and I know, like, so it's Brian Ortega. I don't know him.
I know Brian Ortega. Yeah.
A lot of video risks. He's out there. He puts himself out there. They have fun. I love to see it, because in a world of boring marketing, can people please have some fun? Like,
what's happening right now? I think about, like, with the tariffs and this crazy uncertainty that is for no reason. Banks are pulling back a little bit, getting more conservative. So I can see some credit issues happening. And, another story you could tell is how a customer came in and had decent credit, not bad credit. And what you did to try to get them financed. And then that way a buyer, or even just a person, would look at that content that you have and go, "Oh, wow, that's me. Like, that's me. That might happen to me. Let me go there." So, but all that part of social needs its airtime. It needs like you, when you're cooking on the stove and you're making a sauce and it has to reduce down. That's what with content, it's the same thing. You've got to take time out of the day, not even a day, just maybe once a week. And in the interim, when things come to you, jot them down. But that's the content strategy part of it you can't just like all of a sudden think of something like that and then post it. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to have the effect you want it to.